They said there's no doubt you'll surely lose. Go ahead and sing your tune. We didn't listen, stayed right on the truth. And now we're on the right side of the news.
Good morning. Poke the Hornets Nest. We are in Redding, California, mountaintopmedia.com. Everybody's been sick, so if we cough a time or two, excuse us. We had a meeting at the supervisors yesterday, and I want everybody to pray for Jenny Noane. She lost control and got arrested again yesterday. Last time she got arrested, she was sentenced to, started out 90 days, and then it feathered down to 45, and I think she spent about 2 weeks on home monitoring, and that was it. So maybe she'll get 3 weeks this time.
You know, the thing is, Jenny didn't get arrested. Jenny demanded to be arrested.
Oh, that's right. That's absolutely right.
And I don't know if you saw the video that I made.
No, I didn't.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, it's 18 seconds. I might just put it up for the fun of it.
Go ahead, put it up. Poor little Jenny.
But Jenny demanded that she get arrested. She was warned. She was told to sit down. She was told to knock it off. She didn't want to. So she demanded. She stood up and she held her hands out like this. And
handcuff me.
They ignored her.
That's right.
Because this was ridiculous. So about 15 minutes in, she's standing like this. Well, tell me, this doesn't look like you're pretending to ride a horse around the, right?
There you go.
That's all I saw. So I created this, and I'll put it onto the video.
There she is. That's Jenny.
Right. So.
Got her little tummy sticking out. Got her strawberries on. Tuesday's strawberry day for Jenny. If you watch every Tuesday, she wears strawberries.
So this is Jenny standing like that, demanding to be arrested.
This is Jenny disrupting another meeting.
So this is what happened. This is what we all saw.
That's right.
And there's Jenny choosing to ride straight over to the jail.
There you go.
So the consequences for her actions are she got arrested.
I wonder if she'll be prosecuted or given a ticket or any. Speaking of tickets, the flock cameras. I want to talk about the flocking cameras.
Okay.
They've got them set up in towns and all over, and California passed a law. I think it's SB 20. My friend, the Village Idiot, sent me this. SB 20, the police departments are using the flock cameras to give red light tickets, and they're not ticketing the driver, they're ticketing the vehicle. Doesn't that sound interesting?
I'd have to look that up and verify that.
Well, do that, please.
Yeah, I will. You said it's SB 20?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll look that up because the guy that I'm, my guy, he was CHP for 12 and a half years or something like that. And he has a completely different take on those, that it's not as nefarious as everybody thinks. And it's kind of nice having that voice of reason that's like, not everything's a conspiracy theory. Most of them are right, but... he said they don't track all of that. They're not, and the information gets wiped. There's certain things that have flags, missing elderly people, missing children, certain people that are on the run. Those license plate numbers, when those pop up, they send a flag. Otherwise, all the other data gets cleared, and they're not actually tracking anything. So I'd be curious.
They say it gets cleared. And it starts out with the best intentions. I read a deal about a guy, I think he went missing from here, 68 or so, dementia. And they wound up finding him over in Eureka, I don't know, a week later because of the flock camera. Another one was the same thing. And that's fine and dandy as long as it doesn't morph into more. And that SB 720 shows me it's got the potential to morph into more. But we want to talk about, actually Poke the Hornets Nest on KQMS last weekend was interesting. We had Joanna Francesca on, and Shasta Unfiltered, a conservative paper, a non-biased paper. I shouldn't call it conservative. I should call it non-biased. We're going to play a video right now that's 3 minutes and 57 seconds long, and it highlights the things that were brought up. Actually, this is the 3 people that were on my show the week before. That was Jim Burnett. Who else was on there? Thomas Hildebrand and Buddy Casey, Carrie. I don't know her last name.
Yeah, Kari was one of the 3 that got removed from the meeting yesterday.
Well, she was angry. She was angry that they weren't arresting her. Get her out of here. And I heard her say, ban her from the meetings. And she's got a point.
And I agree. And that is a good sentiment. And the correct way to handle that would be the way that somebody else from the media area handled it. And they walked up and they said, like, this is not okay. We need to look at the procedures. How is this being handled? Like, this can't continue. You approach the board or you use your time to approach the board. But when you're acting out, even if you're acting out for the right reason, you are interrupting the meeting the same way. And we cannot say we need these meetings to be successful. We need these meetings to be organized.
You know, when my buddy Alan Long got on the board, I solicited him as ex-law enforcement to find some kind of a ruling that if you disrupt a meeting like this more than once or twice, you can prosecute them, write them up, or kick them out. And it went in one ear and out the other. You can't tell whether it stops in the middle because they sit there with a dumb look on their face, and you don't know whether they're listening to you or not.
Well, I would argue that Alan Long has been not only compromised, but completely taken over, and that Mary Rickert actually owns that seat. And
I don't doubt
my
that.
supporting claim to that is every time Alan Long acts a fool, like he did yesterday, like he did a few times ago, guess who's in the audience sitting right there ready? And then has her little speech prepared about how this is all the board's fault and not his but all of his talking points are the same. And she just happens to be there every time he's got his notes ready and his talking points on cue. Mary Rickert is still sitting in that seat.
It's clear to you. I think Modi has a lot of influence. And you know something I was told the other day, when they redistrict the 5 districts for Shasta County for voting, it was done by Leonard Modi, Kathy Darling Allen, and Joanna Francescott. That when they had the board, Mark Kent was on it, Bruce Ross was on it, a few other people. That was just to satisfy the rules that you had to have 12 meetings before you did it.
Yeah.
And they were just, with the population of Reading of Shasta County at less than $200,000, the lines shouldn't shift that much, maybe 3,000 people. And they shift them for 48,000 people. And they were just pleased as punch when that went through. It's obvious it was to put the Liberals in a majority position for each seat.
Hey, Mark, care to comment? You know what your thoughts are on that?
He was angry they wasted his time.
And he was like, I didn't get listened to at all. They did not one part of his input.
I believe he was angry. One of them was really disappointed. We wasted all this time, did a good conscientious job, and they just blew it off. So that sounds logical to me, the 3 people. Anyway, Joanna Francescott was on Poke the Hornet's Nest last week. And she wasn't particularly honest with us at all, in my opinion. One of the things, we'll get to the clips. Let's go to that first clip. And
Did you want to play this video by Shasta Unfiltered first, or you want to do the clips?
Yes,
okay.
This is Shasta Unfiltered.
In April 2026, Northern California's Shasta County has become the setting for a high-stakes local election. Voters in June will decide the race for Registrar of Voters, choosing between the reformist incumbent, Clint Curtis, and the former Assistant Registrar, Joanna Francescott. Because Francescott effectively ran the day-to-day operations during the 2024 cycle, understanding the mechanics of that election is necessary to see why the 2026 race is so contested. By reviewing the operational vulnerabilities exposed in 2024, alongside the subsequent fixes, we can perform an audit of the system's recent history. In any democratic election, public legitimacy relies on the ability to verify the process. When those mechanics are obscured, the system's integrity is compromised. In 2024, observers reported being kept outside the building for 15 minutes while ballot tabulation was already occurring inside. When they attempted to view tabulation screens through the windows, staff reportedly turned over paperwork to hide the logs from public view. Security personnel were assigned to monitor the citizen observers rather than the ballots, and those who complained about being unable to hear procedures were told to lie on the floor and listen through vents. Upon taking office, Clint Curtis replaced these restrictions with a protocol designed for visibility. This new administration installed widespread camera coverage with live online streaming and a physical layout that allows observers to sit directly behind election workers. Moving from a restricted environment to a visible one shifts the burden of proof back to the election office, allowing the electorate to verify the work themselves. In 2024, observers saw workers using black pens to mark ballots away from public view. Francesca claimed staff were merely writing serial numbers, an explanation observers found unlikely, given that the ballots already had serial numbers printed on them. Further reports detailed ballots being processed in an upstairs break room, left in unsealed stacks, or run through tabulation machines multiple times. On the night of December 3rd, after observers were told operations had ended for the day and were escorted out, 2 workers continued processing ballots until 9:30 p.m. without any public oversight. The current administration corrected this by enforcing a rule that no ballot can be handled off-camera and all processing rooms must remain open for real-time public viewing. Unmonitored physical access to ballots compromises every other security measure. Strict chain of custody rules are the only way to ensure the integrity of the count. A significant mathematical error followed. The 2024 final count recorded 2,783 more ballots than actual voters. The previous leadership's manual tally also produced over 500 discrepancies due to confusing terminology. Under the current system, that error rate dropped to 0. This was achieved by overhauling manual tally procedures and implementing clearer terminology to prevent counting errors. When counting procedures are inconsistent and observers are blocked, the resulting data lacks the basic arithmetic required to prove an election result is accurate. The Shasta County Election Office now operates under a different set of standards, moving from a closed-door system to one defined by accessible records and closer observer access. This has led to public debate regarding her background, specifically her lack of a college degree, technology training, or legal experience in managing such a complex system. Voters can examine these changes themselves through procedural comparison reports that contrast the security of the current system against the failures of the past. The upcoming election asks voters whether these specific transparency measures remain in place, or if the county will return to the procedures used in 2024.
You know, the thing is, pre-2024, nobody was happy. And Joanna made the comment.
Why is Amazon paying?
She wants to take the elections back to pre-2023. You know, she made a lot of claims that aren't true. She says claims that the things that Clint Curtis has done to open up the elections, to let viewers see what's going on, that were all based on what she was doing. And, you know, it was absolutely the opposite. She told somebody, who did she tell? Oh, she told us on the radio that the rooms upstairs in the hallway, the doors were open. The people could go in anytime they want. I know that was a blatant lie because I went up there. The doors were locked, and the people that were counting the vote were actually tormenting the people that wanted to see what was going on. They would see them looking, and they'd turn their paper upside down and whisper some comment to somebody, and they'd start laughing, and they'd do what they could, maybe not to cheat in the elections, but to torment the people that were there to observe, to make sure that everything was up and above board.
Right.
So we've got some clips. Are we ready for any of those? Here's one right now. I'll tell you what you want to do is you want to start paying attention to your elections, and you want to start voting conservatives, get off your rear ends and go vote. If you don't know what you're voting for, don't vote. But, that hurts us also. That's what cost Laura Hobbs her election, because a lot of people will show up, and if they don't know the people, they'll just click the first one off there, and they'll gain a few votes that way. If it had only been 20 votes, Laura Hobbs would be in a runoff. And, it was that simple, and Joanna admitted that she didn't go with the numbers drop that the state does like she was supposed to. She admitted to quite a few mistakes.
Well, and this is loading, so while it's
Go ahead.
thinking, you're right, because the people who don't vote, the largest mass of people that don't vote, are conservative Christians. And then they want to scream, why is our world falling apart? Why are things so different? Well, the church used to be involved in politics. They used to be involved in media. They used to be involved in education. And there was a moral aspect to society. And as soon as the church pulled out and said, it's not our job, it's not our circus, not our monkey, we don't need to take care of it, things started going away. Well, when good people don't do anything, bad people step in, and then the good people are like, what's going on?
Sure.
Why is evil taking over? And so when you're saying everybody needs to vote, that entire base needs to stop doing the whole like, oh, God picks our leaders, so we don't need to vote because they're already preordained. No, for David to slay Goliath, he had to pick up a rock, right?
No, he didn't. He went and got a Bethelite.
So you need to be able to go and vote, because sometimes you have to be part of the process.
Even if it's uncomfortable.
Even if it's uncomfortable. And speaking of voting, I'm going to call out two of our elected officials real quick. Heather Hadwick and Megan Daly. Their voting record this session, Heather has missed over 300 votes and Megan has missed over 800. So when these things, SB 20, any of these other bills are going through, they have an opportunity to vote and make their voice heard. And even if there is a super majority, why are they not voting?
Well,
they
sure.
have one job.
That's right. They should be there. They should be educating us. I don't hear much from them. Although anytime I want to know something about Heather Hadwick, all I have to do is call Mark Mazzano. No, really, he's very accessible, and he'll explain what's going on. He's a really nice person, in my opinion.
Okay. The recall Kevin Cry people, I'm talking Jeff Porter, Charlie Manor, Christian Gardner, Brad Garbett. They said when we voted to get rid of the Dominion vote counting machines, that Kevin Cry, the swing vote, cost us millions of dollars by doing that. I don't agree with that. Do you?
It cost us a lot of money.
Millions?
Yeah, so that $1.5 million grant, I know this is probably one of your questions too, that paid for the new voting system and the creation of the hand count.
Okay, so you know what? That grant wasn't granted. It wasn't accepted till long after we had bought those machines. She's absolutely lying right there. So go ahead, let's go on again.
Plan alone, and then the staff time it took us to work through that and
Those weren't even in the mix when they canceled it and when they ran the.
What do you mean mix? Explain that to me.
Well, as soon as the Dominion machines were canceled, they're screaming it's costing us millions of dollars. And in fact, the Hart machines were bought before that grant. We received that grant.
We used the grant funding to pay for that.
That grant funding went into the general fund, and you can say it was used to buy that, but it didn't. You didn't get the grant specifically say buy these machines.
Well, now, for clarification, as a moron, and that would qualify me, this grant, is this the one, the Zuckerberg $1.5 million grant?
So Zuckerberg's not involved with that $1.5 million.
Okay, so I was going to ask, where is this
He
1.5?
gave a bunch of money to the Center of Life and
Yeah, but not for that $1.5 million. That came from other fundings.
Okay.
Other rich people
I just
gave
wanted to
money.
ask. Okay, I wanted to ask. I didn't know where that was
other
coming.
rich people.
Yep.
That'd be you, Nick.
That would be you, Nick. It wasn't me. But you can go look at their website.
Local people?
No.
So there you go. She's on the Center of Life and Civic Technology, some damn thing. She was on the board, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Okay. And they offered a $1.5 million grant to Shasta County The supervisors said no. They put a stipulation on there to send it back and tell them we'd only take the money if it could be used for a new building for the ROV. We had already bought the heart machines by then. But then, she says that's not Zuckerberg money. That was somebody else's, Tide, Packard, whoever that donates to this liberal outfit. How do you separate the money? It all goes to a general fund there. They don't say, well, you can only use this to buy machines, and this here you can only use to bribe voters. This here you've got to get the bus to take it down to Skid Row and get some bums to go vote for the liberal guy. She's just mixing it up. The money came from Tech Civic Life. And there's no way to separate that money. It didn't cost us millions of dollars. For one thing, the people that put the staff and everything are already paid. The Dominion machines were costing $266,000 a year. The Hart machines we bought, we were renting the Dominion, plus $266 a year, plus extra for special elections, plus the software updates. We bought and own the Hart machines for $950,000. They have a life expectancy for 15 years, but if it's only 10 years, that's $95,000 a year. My way of thinking, we saved over $150,000 a month there, but they were already yelling that it cost millions of dollars, and it didn't. It saved us money. And I just don't understand why people can't get that through their heads. And with this clip you just heard, those guys say, yes, Joanna, justified and why it cost us millions. Now do you believe us? Well, no, I believe you worse.
Right. Well, and it's funny that you bring up in that clip that Christian Gardner is part of the Kevin recall people, because he talks constantly about the millions of dollars that we're wasting, If we were to take all the minutes that he spoke at public comment about how much he hates President Trump and added up the staff time, I'm sure we would hit millions. Like the amount of dollars we've wasted listening to him whine about the fact that he doesn't like our president.
I had taken and got on her about protesting Kevin's business. I think that was completely out of line. And Benjamin and Jenny Nguyen, that little gal, strawberry chick, I call her, she was there at the protest. They organized it. You've got county business, and when you don't get your way, you go start protesting at a private business and harassing children that are going inside. That's a big no-no. Talk about no class.
Well, and she put out like a statement saying that it wasn't her, but she didn't put out a statement that says, I'm opposed to this, or I think it's wrong. It was like I don't have anything to do with this, how they're acting. I'm sorry, if somebody was protesting in front of a kid's facility and scaring, there were parents that this is the time that they get to go do their grocery shopping. A lot of these are homeschool parents that their kids are at home all the time, right?
This is the only social hour those kids get also.
Yeah. And these parents are now having to take the time to stay in there because they're scared for their kids' safety. And I spoke to some of the parents as they were going in and out, and they were scared. And so if that was me, and I was the one whose name was on the sign, and they were chanting, no Joanna, no peace, I would make a statement that says, I absolutely am opposed to this. This absolutely is not okay.
Joanna said she'll take any votes she can get. That was her reaction. It's on there. She said, well, I'll take even those. Yeah, she'll take those.
Well, and it basically was because she has Suzanne Barrymore. You were going to have her on for a debate with Clint Curtis because she's running online being Joanna's, defensive back or whatever. And the thing is, Suzanne Barrymore was who was organizing that. Like, Jen and Betty got to be the faces of it or whatever, but Suzanne was standing there every single time, and then she would go to Kevin and say, these are our demands. I've typed them up, and these are the demands.
Oh,
and
really?
if you want this to stop, these are the demands. Well, guess what? you now are proving that you are part of this, right? And then you're tied to her campaign and you're the one defending her and doing all of that. Again, if I was Joanna, I'd speak out. And if I was Joanna, I would say somebody who's got 7 alcohol-related offenses on 6 different dates, all of that provable on the court website, maybe should not be representing your campaign.
She needs all the votes she can get, even Frank Treadway. You know, Suzanne Barrymore was running Clint down on Shasta Scout in the comments, so I typed up in there, would you do a debate straight across from Clint? You can make your accusations and he can defend himself. Sure. And we talked back and forth. I said, I've got it lined up. We can use the studio. I think it was a Tuesday night at 6. And then she started making demands what we have to do so she'd show up.
Yeah.
And it was just ridiculous. She made the comment online that she just couldn't wait to get there to straighten Clint Curtis out and show us what a doofus he is. And I went back and they deleted that. That thing about Shasta Scout, it's just like a news cafe. They pick and choose the comments they want up there. I know that they have not published a half a dozen of my comments. One, they changed the wordage. And, there's something wrong when you censor comments because a comment is a back and forth on thoughts from the community that's reading. Well, I think this is wrong. Well, I don't, and this is why I think. And, you can, and my comments were using profanity. I know that probably 80% of the commenters there are using a fake name or not using a name. To me, that you lose a little credibility right there if you're not willing to put your name out. They had it was after Joanna. What was it? They had something on there that they figured justified what I'd been complaining about Joanna. And there was about 4 comments on there. How's Nick going to spend this? Nick, we haven't heard from you. Crickets, crickets. And my reply is, rent-free. I'm living rent-free. They didn't like that too well. So that's they start arguing with me, and I haven't even commented yet. I think I'm living in their heads rent-free. What I'm disappointed about is there's no furniture there in that hollow head. I've got to stand the whole time.
You're funny.
I try.
All right, you want to do one more? I think we're right here around that 46 something about voter addresses.
Yeah.
There was a complaint turned into the Shasta County Sheriff's Department. Throughout this investigation, I've learned that there is voter fraud happening in Shasta County, but I am unable to identify a true source or person to file criminal charges against. This is from Casey L. Barnhart, a Sheriff's Department.
Do you have the actual production of what that claim said? Because
here is what the journalists discovered later and handed over to the sheriff's office. There were 63 addresses listed as residents that did not exist. 2 were empty lots, 9 were houses with a number 0. 16 had a house number, no house number, just a street. 63 house numbers did not exist on the street. That's just 63 of them.
Okay, so let's talk about this for a little bit. First and foremost, if those were sent to our office to research and look into, my staff would have done that work to research and look into all of those records. Instead, they were sent to the sheriff's office, and we still at our office have not been given access to those records. And what they're saying.
What good does it do to send it to your office after the election and it's been certified?
Those aren't records of people who actually voted. Those are records where they went door by door and knocked on the door
to see if somebody lived there that voted.
Yes. So they're taking word from person's mouth and not actually from our files. So if those were sent to our office and we would look into those, then we can actually make the adjustments and look into those records.
53 voters used the Good News Rescue Mission as the residents. Mission staff reported receiving thousands of ballots.
That's a lie, because I know that's a lie. Because
the Good News Rescue Mission lied?
Every single election that I administered, and I was assistant county clerk for, I would ask my staff to look at voters are addresses where there was more than 10 voters and look into every single one of those. So when we would, before we sent ballots out to the Good News Rescue Mission, we would send voter notification, because it's not against the law for someone to be homeless, and it's not against the law for people to register to vote at the corner of Cypress and Park Marina Avenue. That is not against the law. It's allowed for in the law. It's allowed for in the law to someone to use a lot number or APN number.
But you're the first one that sees that stuff. You should be the lead investigating and find out if in fact it's before they vote.
That's not what the law says. The law says that we are to do clerical and ministerial functions. We are not investigators. So anytime I see an issue,
So why is she arguing?
Wait, didn't she say, why didn't you bring this evidence to me so that I could investigate it? But now she's saying we're not the investigators. So she's saying she would not have investigated it because their job is not to investigate. But also she said that if you're going, or that information was from people going door to door to door. And why would they get those addresses if they went door to door when those addresses don't exist? Those addresses were off a list that was provided by the voter rolls.
And the ones they did talk to, they had notarized declarations that she says didn't happen. It seems to me that if there's something going on that she doesn't like, she just calls it a lie, or it didn't happen. Too many holes in what she has to say. There's just not consistency. Clint Curtis is going to be on Poke the Hornet's Nest this coming Sunday at 9 o'clock. We're going to talk to him about this. And one of the questions I'm going to ask him is how he's going to count 63 governors, 63 votes in the governor's office. Everybody seems to be whining about that. It can't be done. That'll be a question for Clint. The first question I asked Joanna is, do you support Donald Trump? She wouldn't answer. It's nonpartisan. It's only nonpartisan when it's to her advantage. But, somebody, I have questions about people that don't support our president.
Yeah, well, so if you want to hear the opposite side of this story, listen on Sunday to Poke the Hornet's Nest on KQMS. Will it be you and Doug? You and Clint?
And I think maybe Patrick Jones is going to be there to clarify some of the points that I try and make. He's got a lot clearer mind of what went on. For instance, when the Dominion was canceled, to when they told her, when Kathy Darling Allen got the heart machines, then afterwards they got the money from, they took and told Joanna and Kathy Darling Allen they had to rewrite the acceptance of that $1.5 million, that we would only accept it for a building. There's 182 emails between Kathy Darling Allen, then Attorney Ross, County Attorney Ross, and Joanna Francescott, trying to figure out how they can word it to where they don't have to use it that way. And then they sent it in, they got the money, and they lied 3 times and told Jonesy they hadn't got the money. And then here she comes out and says, well, we got the money and we used it to buy the machines. It's a blatant lie.
Yeah. Well, and that's when people are talking about Clint versus Joanna and who to vote for and where to stand. There are plenty of things that Clint does to hurt himself. He's not perfect by any means.
Well, he doesn't articulate himself well.
The thing is, for me, the 2 non-negotiables are right there, where she tried to circumvent the board in those emails. And then when given an opportunity to answer for it, she just pouted and threw a fit in front of the entire board. And then the second one was when we voted to remove the machines in hand count, and she went to Sacramento to testify against the will of the people.
Yes.
That for me is the second thing. You cannot say that you are a nonpartisan office who is not trying to push elections one way or the other if you are going to Sacramento to testify in the legislature against the will of the people. And
when
the
you're
will of the board
representing
is
the people.
Yep.
You're elected to represent the people, and you go down there and slit our throat.
Yeah. So for me, it really doesn't matter on this race. Any of the other stuff, any of the other drama, none of that those two things for me is enough to never want her in office again.
And then to claim that the doors were wide open and the people wanting to observe the elections could go in and observe them, that was a blatant lie. And what got me is when she said the fence was already there, they just extended it 4 feet. Well, you think it's 4 feet horizontally. If there's a 24-foot fence, you think they took it out 24 foot. Or 20 foot to 24 foot. In actuality, it was up. It was vertical. They went from 4 feet to 8 feet. That was just misleading. Okay, well, we're going to be well next week, and we'll try and do a little bit better job. Thanks, Leslie.